Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Our top stories tonight. New COVID cases in Hong Kong stay below 10,000 for the fourth day in a row. Chinese medicine experts arrive from the mainland to help fight the virus. And 8 homeless people whose belongings were thrown away by the government get $100 each in compensation. Hong Kong's daily COVID tally continued to fall to just over 7,500 today. 2 people under the age of 60 died with the virus, but both were chronically ill. Wong reports.
Hong Kong's daily COVID tally continued its downward trend today with 7,596 cases. There were an additional 151 deaths, including 2 men aged under 60. Both suffered from chronic illnesses. One of them, who was 59, was on steroids and blood thinners and had suffered from heart complications before. While daily case numbers are down sharply from the 5th wave's peak of around 70,000, the Center for Health Protection's Chuang Shou-kwan said the figures are still very high for Hong Kong. She warned that cases can rebound at any time. Health officials also responded to criticism that children were being separated from their families due to COVID.
In general, it's our principle pro-family and pro-child policy to allow the carer or parents to stay with the confirmed kids. So in case the confirmed the parents are also confirmed, we'll try our best to arrange them to stay together as long as the operational and room available. In case the parents are negative, and then after explanation of the risk of infection controlled, and with the permission granted by CHP, and then we will try to also allow they stay together. But in case the situation of the bed occupancy is really very high, like in the peak of COVID 5th wave, and then we will try to arrange the conversation or telephone update to the parents so that let them know the latest situation of the child.
A charity said up to 2,000 children under 10 had to go through isolation alone in the past 6 weeks. Wong, HKIBC.
7 Chinese medicine specialists from the mainland have arrived in Hong Kong to join the city's fight against COVID. Chief Executive Carrie Lam hopes this method of treatment and rehabilitation can help reduce serious symptoms and deaths. Wong reports.
非常感谢你们来。哎呀，你们也很辛苦了啊。没有，这个我们是盼望你来啊，因为这个。
Hong Kong is branching out in its war against COVID by introducing another weapon, traditional Chinese medicine. Chief Executive Carrie Lam this morning greeted 7 mainland specialists arriving through Shenzhen Bay border point. They are the 4th batch of mainland medical experts to lend a hand since the city's 5th wave began. They include Tong Xiaoling, the National Expert Committee head of traditional Chinese medicine, who also went to Wuhan 2 years ago. Lam said she hopes the specialists can help local authorities better apply Chinese medicine as a supplement to existing treatments.
Right now, the Hong Kong SAR government's efforts in fighting the epidemic is to prevent critical illness and, of course, to prevent deaths. And that's why their participation will be very beneficial to our achieving this objective. Chinese medicine is also very effective in rehabilitation. So after a COVID-19 patient has been cured, particularly an elderly patient, then the use of Chinese medicine can also help them with a speedy recovery.
Tong later told reporters that traditional Chinese medicine proved to be effective when tackling earlier COVID waves in Tianjin and Anyang. 18 public clinics in Hong Kong are offering Chinese medical services for COVID rehabilitation. Recovered patients can receive up to 10 free consultations. Wong, HKIBC.
Religious premises are preparing to reopen on April 21st under a three-stage timetable to ease social distancing restrictions if COVID cases continue to decline. Hong Kong's biggest mosque is among the places of worship waiting to welcome back their congregations. Joanna Ho reports.
For Hong Kong's Muslims, April is extra special. Their holy fasting month of Ramadan begins on Saturday, and if COVID cases keep falling, the Kowloon Mosque and Islamic Center will be open to worshippers on April 21st.
So if the last 10 days of Ramadan we find the mosques are open, indeed it will be a great happiness for our community, and indeed we will follow. If the government asks only vaccinated people can come, we will follow, and only we will allow those who are fully vaccinated.
As it prepares to welcome worshippers for religious services on April the 21st, the Kowloon Mosque pledged to sterilize the premises and follow anti-COVID measures. 10 days ago, the mosque opened its doors so that Muslims and members of ethnic minorities could receive COVID jabs. While another round of vaccinations will be offered at the mosque on April 9th, Muslim leaders demonstrated the anti-COVID measures that they will enforce when the congregation returns. They said worshippers can only stand on yellow tapes instead of the red tones so that they are more dispersed. The number of people allowed for each prayer session will be reduced to around 500, compared with 3,000 to 4,000 before social distancing came into force. To cater to the large number of Muslims, an additional session will be arranged on Fridays. Joanna Ho, HKIBC.
COVID cases with or without symptoms have risen in Shanghai, which is undergoing a two-phase lockdown. The number of asymptomatic cases in the mainland's financial hub jumped to over 4,300 yesterday from around 3,400 on Sunday. Symptomatic infections almost doubled from 50 to 96. The Pudong New area in the east kicked off the first stage of a lockdown that will last 9 days in total. The second phase, starting on Saturday, will cover West Shanghai. Sectors including catering and retail that have been affected by the shutdown will be given subsidies and a tax rebate. Across the mainland, over 1,200 locally transmitted symptomatic cases were recorded yesterday, most of them in Jilin province. In other news, 8 homeless people who lost their belongings in a government clearance operation have been given only $100 each in compensation. The Small Claims Tribunal said the government staff did not take photos of the items seized, while the street sleepers had no list of what they owned. Johanna Chen reports.
The homeless claimants were accompanied by members of the Society for Community Organization when they arrived at the Small Claims Tribunal, hoping to be fully compensated. They left an hour later with mixed feelings after the street sleepers were granted just $100 each. This man said that amount would only get him a shirt, but was satisfied with the explanation given. SOCO community organizer Ng Wai Tong said the homeless have a right to their possessions and should be compensated. The group, which originally consisted of 14 people, had asked for between $2,000 and $13,000. While waiting for the outcome, 2 claimants died, and contact was lost with 4 others. Their struggle began in December 2019 during the anti-government protest. Homeless people living in Tung Chau Street Park in Sham Shui Po were cleared out by staff of the Leisure and Cultural Services Department, the LCSD, and riot police. Their belongings were loaded into a rubbish truck and later disposed of. Small Claims Tribunal adjudicator Arthur Lam said today there were no signs that the government had ill intentions. But no notice was posted to tell the homeless where they could go to collect their belongings. He added that the LCSD acted irresponsibly as involuntary custodians, because they had not taken photos or sorted the belongings. Lam, however, noted that the homeless did not have a list of their belongings. He granted them compensation of $100 each. Johanna Chan, HKIBC.
A research group has warned that suicides in Hong Kong have reached an extremely high level. The University of Hong Kong's Center for Suicide Research and Prevention said in the past week there were 21 cases, mainly elderly and middle-aged people. It said COVID might have contributed to the increase as many senior citizens felt lonely and isolated. The center's Paul Ip urged the government to reopen leisure and entertainment facilities as soon as possible and provide more care for the elderly. Russian and Ukrainian delegates have met in Turkey for the first time in 2 weeks to search for a resolution to the month-old invasion of Ukraine. In a blow to Russia's military goals, Ukrainian forces have recaptured a strategic town north to the capital, Kyiv. A new day dawned on Irpin, which is now back in Ukrainian hands. The key town northwest of the capital, Kyiv, was declared liberated from Russian control after weeks of heavy fighting. But the mayor warned evacuated residents not to return yet. Ukraine also said it retook the northeastern town of Trozianets. The victories came as Russia shifted its focus to territory in southeastern Ukraine. The Azov seaport of Mariupol is reported to be on the edge of submission after unrelenting bombardment. The war has sent more than 3.8 million Ukrainians pouring into European Union countries, but the outflow has slowed down in recent days as a humanitarian crisis continues to unfold. Advisors from Ukraine and Russia sat down in Istanbul to pursue a path towards a ceasefire. Hopes of a breakthrough remain dim, despite Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's willingness to discuss his country's neutrality. But there are signs that the Kremlin is softening its stance, as it reportedly considers dropping its price goal to denazify Kyiv. The peace efforts were overshadowed by reports that Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich and 2 Ukrainians were poisoned in earlier talks. The Chelsea owner has since recovered from reported sore eyes and peeling skin and attended the latest session in Istanbul. Kyiv and Moscow denied responsibility for the purported poisoning, while a U.S. official cited environmental factors for Abramovich's symptoms. Private home prices in Hong Kong have fallen to a 13-month low as COVID fears discouraged buyers. Official figures show that prices last month fell by just over 2% from January. It was the biggest drop in 3 years and came amid a surge in COVID cases. Property agents predict a 50% fall in home sales this quarter from a year earlier, but expect a rebound if the outbreak is brought under control. The Hang Seng Index closed 1.1% higher today on a strong showing by the tech and energy sectors. Meituan was among the star performers, closing almost 6% higher. The food delivery platform whetted investor appetite after its fourth quarter revenue was better than expected. Mainland developers lost ground, with Sunac China Holdings plunging 17.4% after saying it will not be able to release last year's results by the deadline on Thursday. Now let's take a look at the markets. The Hang Seng Index closed up 242 points. Top 10 active stocks: Tencent up $10.80, JD.com up $13.60. Alibaba up $2.40 and Sunac down 86 cents. Forwards trading against Hong Kong dollar. Euro is trading at 8.68 and Australian dollar at 5.86. Over to the UK market, FTSE 100 is up 97 points. On to the weather now. Tomorrow's morning will be wet with sunny intervals later in the day. Temperatures range between 19 and 24 degrees. Sunny periods on Thursday before it turns cool on Friday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for this Tuesday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Sarah Wong. Please stay safe and take care.